It helps my allies.
I see. So you pursued corruption because you thought it would bring a greater good, is that right?
I didn't pursue it, it kinda pursued me. I never asked for him to come to me. But in a way, yeah.
You did not turn away. You accepted his gifts.
It was a dire time.
Listen to me now. Those gifts are not gifts. They are chains that bind your soul to darkness. I have seen the strongest of wills crumble beneath its influence. The Amber Temple does not grant power. It consumes the soul that seeks it. It leaves nothing but a husk behind.
And
I
how
see.
does God relate to the Amber Temple?
I believe he was once a pilgrim there. We tried to stop that. It was the purpose of my order to prevent any from seeking its power. That was our secret purpose that few knew but I. He looks at Azrael again and he says, "You are stronger than you know. You do not need those gifts to find power. Embrace the power within you, not the lies and illusions that those shards may promise. There's always a chance to turn away from darkness, no matter how far you may feel you have fallen."
Isaac kind of ponders those words for a moment. Kinda
I think they're pretty
remembering.
meaningful for you, for your character.
Yeah, kinda also ponder those words and kinda remember Enzo. And he kinda sees Enzo in this figure. I guess you're right. You speak the truth.
I would recommend that you cast your shard away, whether into Lake Zarovich or Baratok, but certainly someplace deep where it will be lost.
I see. There's a question I wanted to ask, but I forgot.
Well,
I will hear your questions, but I am hesitant to speak more on the Amber Temple. I wish its secrets to fall into history and be forgotten.
well, in that case, what did you wish for our aid for?
Hold on. Sorry, Hector. I got one more question.
Oh, okay.
What do you know of Isaac?
I have never heard of him.
Shame. That is all.
What was Hector's question?
He was asking just what their order wanted for their aid that they requested.
I will have to explain some of our history for you to understand what I want. Long ago, before the mists descended upon the valley, the Order of the Silver Dragon was an order of knights dedicated to justice and the protection of the weak. Our order was founded by Lord Argynvost, a man of great wealth, kindness, and valor. Very few knew his secret, but I was one of them. His trusted knights were entrusted with the information that he was in truth a silver dragon. Not 10 years after we first settled in this valley, Stradvan Zarovich brought war to the land surrounding it. Our order ranged far afield to defend the valley against Zarovich's invading armies and shelter those who were made refugees by the violence, but ultimately we were driven back, and ultimately we fell back to the mansion of Argynvostholt. Before I tell you more, I must ask you something. Would you seek to betray or abandon your comrades if you were forced to fight a hopeless battle? Or would you fight with them to the death?
Well, in a tactical sense, I know it's always best for a healer to run away, but I'm not sure I fully deserve that even now.
I feel like death is a easy way out. So yeah, I guess I would.
You would choose loyalty over selfishness.
I guess I would.
Then I will tell you that a great battle took place on the floodplain east of this mansion, and many of the Knights of the Order were slaughtered there. We stood together to the last man. We would not run. As I and my commander, Vladimir Horngard, led a final sortie against the enemy general's camp, we were both killed. Commander Horngard was felled by Zarevich himself, and I was killed by his second-in-command, who was a cruel-eyed dusk elf bearing twin scimitars. Several years later, I felt my commander's rage pull my soul from beyond the grave, and I found myself and the other Knights of the Order returned to life as we are now. After that, we learned that Zarevich had desecrated Argynvost's remains, burning the dragon's bones and taking his skull as a trophy to the new castle Ravenloft. An act which was so foul that it had stirred Horngard to vengeful hatred even through death. And because we had sworn an oath to follow him, we rose with him. We renewed our fight against Strahd. We waged war for months, until one day the mists descended upon Barovia. But that did not stop us. We marched on Castle Ravenloft, where we were stopped by the most unlikely of things. A Vistani crone named Madame Eva, who met us at the gates and told Vladimir Horngard that Strahd had died already, but he had been reborn, and that he and all of Barovia were now captives of the mists. He falls silent for a moment after saying that, and he looks down, and he says, "Tell me, is there anyone that you hate deeply?"
Sorry, was this him asking us, or was this part of the tape?
He's asking you.
Oh, okay. I thought he was mad at me.
Azo kinda is thinking. I guess we need to realize who.
This would drive Zarevich into deep levels of pain and misery, because a conqueror is nothing without something to conquer. And reluctantly we obeyed, because we had sworn to obey, and our oath in life was further reinforced by our undeath. He shakes his arms, indicating the bindings that hold him. He says, "We believed for a time, as Strahd slumbered year after year in his tomb, that perhaps one day this nightmare would lift. But then a knight came to this land bearing news of a failed rebellion from the village of Barovia to the southeast, and that Strahd had threatened to wipe the village and its people from the valley. This caused a great quarrel. We demanded the right to defend the village of Barovia from Strahd, and Commander Horngard, in defiance of us, banished us from the mansion Only I was allowed to stay here restrained and bound. Perhaps because I was his second in command, and he wished to punish me for speaking against him. I have asked you here because something is stirring in the mansion. Argynvost may have fallen in the war against Strahd, but his spirit still lingers in Argynvostholt. For decades after the mists descended, the spirit would appear to Commander Horngard in flickering visions, urging him away from his path of hatred and vengeance. But Horngard never listened, and eventually the spirit died down and fell quiet. But after Strahd awoke from hibernation, that spirit began to stir again. I don't know why. It is old and weak and cannot manifest itself directly, but several of us and several of the ghosts in this mansion claim that they have heard it whispering in its ethereal slumber, murmuring of a new generation of knights and a new final front in the fight against darkness. When we were banished from Argynvostholt, I sent the others to find these knights, and I had hoped that perhaps they were you.
Well, I don't know about knights, but I think all of us are trying to help the realm as much as we can.
He seems to be considering your words.
We
Yeah.
don't seek, at least at the moment, any direct confrontation with Strahd. But we are aiming to try and find some way to remove him from power.
Then you are our allies at the very least. If you would, on my behalf, I would have you investigate the spirits that lurk within Argynvostholt to see if you can uncover information about what Argynvost may have in mind.
I see. I believe I saw a flicker of something that might have been him.
You are probably the only ones living who have seen that since his death.
And I also believe we ourselves also saw a visage of that final battle you spoke of.
He raises his head to that, and he says, "Then you must have seen our last stand."
Yes.
We took our stand and died south from here at the Luna River crossroads, at a point where the Luna River became a small lake with an island. That was where we died, and it was the last place that Argynvostholt flew, or rather that Argynvost flew, before he returned to Argynvostholt to wait for Strahd's armies.
Well, we'll see what we can find out in this mansion, I suppose.
If you will search through the mansion, I must give you a warning that you must avoid Vladimir Horngard. You must not allow him to see or hear you. You would incite his anger if you did so. He does not take kindly to outsiders, and far less so to those he believes might seek Zarevich's destruction.
Well, Has he been keeping up with news recently?
I am not sure that he would know of you, but he is a good judge of character, and if he has heard anything about you, you must be very careful not to let him know of your intentions with regard to Zarevich. If he knew that you were any kind of threat, or that you wished to raise your hands against him, he would not allow it. In life he was the best of us, and in death his strength is only waxed.
Where does he usually stay within this manor?
You would likely find him atop the keep, at the old beacon.
When we
Where is that?
Sorry.
Sorry.
The highest point of the keep.
That tower we saw.
That is it. If you should run across him, I ask that you be very careful not to mention my name. He does not look fondly upon me now. Should he believe I hold your sympathies, his suspicion for you would only grow.
I see. We do have 2 more of our number, but they were unable to join this meeting.
Yeah, when we entered here, we saw a shadow of some sorts. A winged one.
We have a comrade who is afraid of, well, perhaps traumatized of dragons.
Before we continue that, I want to ask about what's going on with Melano and Cog.
Right.
Okay.
So Melano's persuaded Cog to print his manual. Which Cog has provided, I'm guessing, a warning / intro page by Tinkerton and Pillsby about his services.
Yeah, Cog is kind of reverted back to default mode. So
boy.
he's reverted to
Factory reset.
setting, and she was able to convince him to print out because he didn't have enough printer paper per se to print like the whole thing out, but he printed out like the first couple of pages.
Oh, look at my inventory, see if I could like add more pages to his printer. I think I may have paper.
I think he uses like brass paper or something.
Does
doesn't
he?
it?
Oh, I don't think I'd have that specific type of paper then.
Yeah. I was hoping they'd give some clues a little bit with what I put. I don't know if she would share like the information when everyone else gets back. But it's supposed to imply that like Cog isn't supposed to be what he is, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I got that from reading those.
Yeah.
Yeah, all concerns that yeah, no, she'll probably more than likely share what she's learned so far.
Yeah. So.
Do you want to like walk in on this conversation then?
I guess Mel will just give Cog the order to stand guard outside.
Yeah, Cog.
And
Okay.
just wait for the group to come back.
So Cog waits at the entrance?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He would probably file.
Or like he'll
Or go ahead.
like where hold on, sorry, I'm pulling up the map again. She'll tell him to wait at the entryway of the path, like not near the statue or anything. Like just wait where we're at right now.
Okay.
Cog would respond with a set trespasser parameters. Custom or general.
To flip through the pages that she has and see what this means.
Do I need to write some up real quick?
Yes,
Okay.
that's kind of the whole purpose of the manual. To explain stuff.
Well, if
like
only able to
command.
get a couple pages out.
You can just tell her what
Yeah, I'm gonna say-
what the manual says.
Basically, you have to be specific. The basic, like, if you want a custom, basically he's asking what does he need to keep out, and if there's specific things he needs to keep out of the castle. So there's a, like, among the pages, there's a simple page of, like, you know, guarding
Custom
command-
keep out vampires. I guess.
Yeah.
Not a good idea when I'm in the vicinity.
Oh! Right.
All vampires except for Asriel.
All vampires except Dampier.
I'm trying to think if Cog's programming even knows what a dampier is.
I mean, have you lost your memory too? Because
Yeah,
if you
you should be smart enough to recognize.
I mean, if you haven't lost your memory, it's just
That's true.
scrambled up right now, then you should know about
First
Dampiers from
page, it says
Asriel.
all concerns that. Oh wait, let's hold on now. Not that bit.
You can also
Right,
just
that
tell
says
generalized.
direct the units to the infested region and specify the directive. So
Yeah, so for guarding parameters, you just need to. You could also just say, just general. General will work.
yeah, general. Just go general.
Okay. So I guess you walk into the chapel after that, yeah?
Yeah.
You see the bound knight, and he says, I greet you. Will you be joining?
Yes.
He looks
Tell me,
to the others and he says, and you trust her to follow the mission that I have given you?
I mean, she's been doing pretty well.
Well,
I do
she
not
has
know
saved
that.
my life already, so
I do not
I
know
believe I
much.
have to trust her.
I do not know much about you directly, but my phantoms have reported that you have had many accomplishments. First, I heard about you escorting an innocent woman from the endangered village of Barovia to Villaki, a report I heard directly from one of the Knights of the Silver Order. Then I heard that you had cleared a winery which had been occupied by forces of evil. And then I heard that you were traveling through the werewolves' woods. It was at that time that I realized you might be the ones I needed. If she is part of your group, then I bid that you all go together. You will be safer in numbers. There are dangers in the mansion which you must take care of.
Speaking of numbers, Mel, how's Cog holding up?
He has completely factory resetted himself. So,
Oh.
Not good?
Oh. I mean, is he like not himself? If that's the case, I'm sure he won't mind tagging along.
Set him to guard duty up front.
Well,
Yeah,
We could bring him along. We know.
I don't know if reintroducing him to the inside would trigger some malfunctions again.
Well, we do know the
How badly?
dragon is long since dead, but it could still make an appearance as a spirit.
Since I'm the only, like, frontliner right now, I really don't want to get up close alone. And there seems to be dangerous stuff around here.
Argynvost is not the only spirit that lives in this, or that remains in this mansion. Some among us never left the moments of our deaths. They are damned to relive the final days of the war. They attack all outsiders on sight, determined to defend these halls for eternity.
Should we strike them down or simply incapacitate them?
You would find it difficult to incapacitate them. They cannot be dissuaded from their mad cause. They are undead, and few weapons or spells can harm their incorporeal forms. Of all the creatures in this manor, only the arachnids that haunt the ethereal realm give them pause.
The arachnids of the ethereal realm?
That's right. Even if you were capable of harming the spirits of the manor, they were all fearsome warriors in life. Only warriors with great strength of arms may be able to overcome them.
I don't really feel like revisiting the ethereal plane at all.
If you are frightened of them, I understand. They are a force to be reckoned with. However, they can be deceived. If you feel that you need protection from these hostile spirits, I would advise you to travel south from the crossroads to the place where we made our final stand. There is an ancient stone slab that marks the point by the lake. 200 paces west from it, a wide river rock marks the final resting place of nearly 1,000 souls. Some among them may still bear the liveries of the order. Should you clothe yourselves in their garments, the maddened spirits that haunt these halls would allow you to come and go in peace.
Let's see.
But I imagine the spirit boss is not so easily deceived.
No, he is as I am. He has a mind untainted by death. He would know you for what you are.
I feel like that's our best bet. And
We should try our
me,
best to avoid the octagonal tower then.
by any chance, do we have a deadline for this task you've given us?
No, but I sense that Argyn